Following humanity's defeat during the Battle of Reach, human forces mustered around the last bastion of humanity, planet Earth, humanity's homeworld. The fleet formed in the Sol system, known as the UNSC Home Fleet, consisted of elements from a variety of different UNSC battle groups that had been nearly wiped out throughout the duration of the war, and by this point numbered over 100 ships. On top of that, Earth had been protected by a veil of secrecy, thanks to the thoughtful execution of the Cole Protocol. The Cole Protocol dictated that any time a UNSC vessel was under threat of being captured by Covenant forces, that its navigational computer be completely destroyed. This effectively prevented the Covenant from being able to easily locate human settlements and key human worlds, including planets like Earth. However, this massive fleet guarding the Sol system didn't necessarily provide peace of mind to the people of Earth, as a similarly large fleet had been destroyed during the Battle of Reach, and the end result of that engagement had been the planet Reach itself being glassed. However, the UNSC Home Fleet wasn't the only defensive force protecting Earth. Earth was also guarded by a series of over 300 orbital defense platforms. These platforms focused primarily around a very large magnetic accelerator cannon. A magnetic accelerator cannon that is quite a bit larger than those present on UNSC warships, with the station being able to dedicate more of its resources to the maintenance of these massive weapons. As far as human defenses go, however, this was likely one of the largest UNSC fleets still in present operation at this time. None of that mattered, however, because on October 20th, 2552, the Covenant found Earth. However, unlike previous assaults, this was not a coordinated invasion by a massive Covenant invasion force, but instead a complete accident. The Covenant fleet of Sacred Consecration, led by the Prophet of Regret, had been on a scientific research mission when they stumbled upon Earth accidentally. Following coordinates provided from Forerunner runes that had been captured by the Covenant, they were leading to what was supposed to be a gateway to the Ark. Believing they would simply find the gateway in space, they were surprised to find a world bristling with human defenses, obviously the homeworld of the human race. The problem is the fleet of Sacred Consecration was rather small, having been designed not for military engagements but a scientific expedition. As a result, the fleet consisted of 2 CAS-class assault carriers, the Solemn Penance and the Day of Jubilation, and 13 CSS-class battlecruisers. Still, being determined to prove himself, the Prophet of Regret decided to lead his fleet against the human defenses anyway. The problem that the Prophet of Regret was faced with was not the UNSC naval forces guarding the planet, but instead the orbital defense platforms. The large magnetic accelerator cannons on those orbital platforms did pose a significant threat, more to the CSS-class battlecruisers, but when fired in unison, they could do serious damage to the CAS-class assault carriers. So, as Covenant forces exited slip space and began approaching Earth, they were quickly met by an advancing force of UNSC warships, primarily Marathon-class heavy cruisers and various types of frigates. To counter this, the Covenant forces, while they did begin engaging the UNSC fleet head-on, also began deploying boarding pods and fighters to escort them. These boarding pods bypassed the UNSC ships in orbit, instead making their way for the orbital defense platforms. These boarding pods specifically targeted 3 of the orbital defense platforms: Cairo, Malta, and Athens. The boarders were easily able to slip past UNSC defenses and board these orbital defense platforms, resulting in a lengthy infantry battle on board these stations. Meanwhile, UNSC forces duked it out with the Covenant forces head-on, and thanks to the significant numbers advantage on the UNSC side, they were able to do a significant amount of damage to the Covenant forces. This resulted in the destruction of nearly all of the CSS-class battlecruisers before they were able to reach the defensive line of orbital defense platforms. This was only possible thanks to the coordinated fire from a variety of orbital defense platforms, which were raining magnetic accelerator rounds into the advancing Covenant fleet. You see, Covenant boarders had brought with them heavy antimatter charges with the intention of destroying the orbital defense platforms. They were able to successfully plant the charges on both the Athens and the Malta stations, destroying both stations after the boarders had withdrawn. However, the charge placed on the Cairo station was disarmed by John 117, the Master Chief, and instead prepared to be utilized in a counterattack. Meanwhile, in the ongoing space battle, while most of the CSS-class battlecruisers had been destroyed, a similar similar thing could be said about the UNSC home fleet, with their numbers starting to dwindle. On top of that, both of the CAS-class assault carriers had managed to penetrate the line of orbital defense platforms. With the two CAS-class assault carriers having slipped past the orbital defenses, a task force led by Admiral Harper was tasked with attempting to drop the shields on the assault carrier the day of jubilation. Thanks to a coordinated strike by the magnetic accelerator cannons on the UNSC fleet, they were able to drop the shields of the CAS-class supercarrier, but a counterattack carried out by the Covenant warship absolutely devastated the remnants of the UNSC home fleet. Well, Commander Keyes offered to take the UNSC in amber-clad against the much larger CAS-class supercarrier. The request was denied by Admiral Hood, who was simply unwilling to pit the single frigate against the much larger and much more capable assault carrier. Instead, Master Chief John 117 was able to personally deliver the antimatter charge meant for the Cairo station to the heart of the Day of Jubilation. Its detonation ultimately resulted in the destruction of the supercarrier. However, while UNSC forces were distracted with their efforts to destroy the Day of Jubilation, the Solemn Penance, the other CAS-class assault carrier, was able to slip through and position itself over the city of New Mombasa in eastern Africa. With the destruction of most of the Covenant fleet, with only one of the ships being able to slip down to the surface of Earth, that concluded the space battle as part of the first element of the Battle of Earth. This led to a much lengthier ground campaign that would be carried out through the remainder of the day and into the night, and the space battle will be reignited the next day with the arrival of a much larger Covenant assault fleet. Now, the initial battle was carried out primarily by the UNSC home fleet, and if you'd like to learn about the ships that comprise the UNSC home fleet, I'll leave a link in the upper right-hand corner to a video I have on that. And if you have any other battles you'd like to see covered in future episodes of Battle Analysis and added to the archive, let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.